Today I'm joined by Sophie Dainty, the Deputy Soaps Editor of the UK's biggest TV and movies website, Digital Spy, and certainly a website that I've had in my own browser's favourites list for well over a decade now. She's kindly agreed to come onto the podcast to chat about her role on Digital Spy, the medium of soap, and share some of her own views about Coronation Street. Sophie, lovely to have you here today.
Hey, thanks for the lovely intro. I feel famous.
Oh, yeah, you know. How are you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I am all right, thank you very much. So we're here to talk about soaps and Coronation Street and stuff today. How did you first start getting into watching the soaps?
So it's funny because people always ask me this and I always give like a really long-winded answer, but basically I've grown up with Neighbours, which is somewhat pointless given the week that we're in.
My condolences.
I know, we'll get onto that later. I think we've got a lot to say on that, but so I always watch Neighbours, and it's funny because some of the characters that are sort of coming back at the moment, like Billy and Joel, I remember having them in like my bedroom posters and stuff. I was such a fan. And then sort of as the years went on, I got into Eastenders and Corrie at secondary school, so sort of the two constants. And I've also got a really soft spot for Casualty, which is, I know that's more like a long running drama, but I absolutely love it. But yeah, basically I am just a really big soaps fan, which is great really, because I think that's what you need to be in this job.
Yeah, so how did you get on Digital Spy? How do you kind of go into getting a job like that?
So I wish I had a more interesting answer for you really, but I basically just saw the job on Twitter and I applied, but it wasn't sort of the job I'm doing now. It was a freelance news role for soap. So they wanted someone to come in and sort of work, I think so many hours a week, I can't remember how many it was, just on the soap section. And, you know, I was sort of the nascent stages of my career, you know, you're sort of trying to work out like who you want to be and what you want to do. And I'd done an internship at Inside Soap. Just fresh out of uni. I loved it. And I was just such a big fan of Digital Spy. I know that's a bit of a cliche, but I absolutely was. I absolutely loved it. So I would always, when I was at uni, I was always refreshing the page, and I'd wait up on a Monday for the Tuesday spoiler drop. You know, I guess that's what DS is, isn't it? It's by fans, for fans. I was such a fan. So when I saw this job advertised on Twitter, I was like, oh, that's a bit of me. So I applied and did an interview, got the job, and I sort of worked my way up. But I still had to work at other places because it wasn't full time. For a bit, I was doing like writing for a property company, not as exciting as this. And then about a year later, I think a year or two later, I went full time there. And then in 2019, it was before COVID, like lifetime ago, I got promoted to Deputy Soaps Editor, which is where we are today, basically.
Fantastic. So what does a typical working week look for you like now?
It's hard, isn't it? Because no 2 days are really the same. I mean, I guess being a website, the essence of what we do is to react to everything in real time, or as near to real time as possible, and you know, and be a trusted and comprehensive space for fans of soaps and TV to go to and get information that they know is going to be accurate. And I suppose, you know, a big part of that is to make sure we're on top of all the latest goings on in the soaps world. So that, you know, whether that's writing about that evening's episode after it goes out, or working on press release, or working from a story document, or, you know, checking Instagram. A lot happens on Instagram. Like, look, I'm always like looking at the actors' Instagram stories. They're probably going to hide me now. So making sure that we're on top of everything that's going on. I mean, that is probably a bulk of the day, but then there's other things like I just said, we have the Tuesday spoiler drop that shapes a big part of the week. I mean, I don't know, I'm assuming people know what I'm talking about, where all the spoilers come out for the coming week, and we work through that, we stagger that. So we sort of set some for the embargo, the big stuff, and then we stagger the rest, and we put, you know, that into feature roundups for all the soaps. We have a gallery, and then, you know, there's other things like we have our soaps social media channels which we run. We also have video series, the soap scoops. We write the scripts for them, and we do a lot of liaising with PRs, lots of backwards and forwards, and then there's obviously the fun stuff, like, you know, chatting to cast, going to press events, but I'd say that's like a smaller fraction. There's so much other stuff that goes on behind the scenes to get the site, you know, off the ground.
Are you involved in the Digital Spy Soap forum at all as well?
So not really. We do use that to promote like our own content. So for example, if there's a big announcement, one that springs to mind was Shane Ritchie returning a couple of weeks ago, we posted that in there just to make sure people are reading that. But no, we have our own sort of moderator. He manages that. I think that is literally like a full-time job in its own, the forum. It's such a big space, isn't it?
It is. It's really cool that Digital Spy still got their forum section, actually, because, you know, these days so many people will be driven to like Twitter and Instagram and whatever, and it always makes me kind of feel a bit nostalgic going to the Digital Spy forum, because that's, you know, my first introduction to the internet like 20 years ago. I was also going on forums like that.
Yes, same. That's what, you know, I was saying I was just a big fan of DS. I was also a member of the forums. I don't know how often I posted, but I would always read everything because I used to watch Big Brother and stuff like that. I'd go on, I'd read everyone's opinions. I loved it. It is really, really nice, and it's nice that it's still going, like you say.
Yeah. The Big Brother forum on Digital Spy was certainly a familiar haunt of mine as well back in the day.
Yeah, I love Big Brother. I honestly, like, I keep seeing things about it coming back.
I know, I keep seeing that as well. I'm like, come on, bring it back.
I know, absolutely loved it. I don't know if there's like an overlap with soap fans and Big Brother, because I know a lot of people who watch Corrie, for example, who also really, really like Big Brother.
Yeah, I guess it's all to do with, you know, taking a peek into other people's lives, isn't it? It's our innate nosiness.
Yes, I was about to say, I think maybe we're all just really nosy.
Yeah. So can you tell me anything about how differently the different soaps operate in terms of getting you the information that you need about upcoming episodes?
It's much the same, really. I mean, we have a good relationship with all the soaps. I mean, some I'd say maybe hold more back than others. So, you know, there's a wider argument of how much you reveal and, you know, things like that. But they all operate similar. So they send us the information, like story documents. Have you ever seen them? You know, like with all the stories, and there's some that's embargoed. And they operate in quite a similar way. I mean, obviously there's some that, for example, at the moment, EastEnders is going out early on iPlayer, and you know, there's a bit, you know, that we have a bit of backwards and forwards over how we make that work. But yeah, no, I'd say they all operate in a similar way. Just I think some hold more information back than others.
Yeah. That was interesting what you said about EastEnders. Now, I don't watch EastEnders, but I was aware that they were releasing them early on iPlayer. And last year, I think last year, Coronation Street did it as well. All the soaps, it was during the Olympics, wasn't it, that they had them out earlier in the week? Did that make things difficult for you? Because with the podcast, we were thinking, well, do we record everything on the Monday when it's all dropped, then release it then, or what? How is it for you guys?
Well, it's an ongoing conversation, really, even now, because obviously, like, TV landscape has changed so much over the years, and I think it will continue to change. I mean, like 20 years ago, you couldn't, if you missed Corrie or EastEnders at 7 o'clock or whatever, that was it, wasn't it? Yeah. Whereas now you've got sort of some people who are watching it all in one go, and some people who want to watch it when it goes out on screen in the evening, and it is finding the balance and trying to cater to both parties. And I just think in general, like, our TV viewing habits have changed. It's just a very different beast now, isn't it? But I think what we do, and obviously everyone's gonna have different opinions on this, what we do is we work, so if something's out there, so something's on iPlayer or ITV Hub, we write about it, but we obviously keep the headline very, very, very vague, so you could just find out what we're talking about from the headline. And also we put a massive spoiler warning, so there's absolutely no way you could read that without knowing you're about to read something that you don't want to, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But it's an ongoing conversation, and there's no right answer, really, because it's just, and I think it's just something that we're just going to have to continue to adapt to, because I think things are going to continue to change. I mean, Hollyoaks goes out permanently early on All 4 every day. So, you know, we had to decide what to do about that. Do we write in line with the All 4 episode, or do we wait and write about it in the evening? But we do a bit of both, and I think it works. But yeah, no, I know everyone's going to watch at different times, and it's something we're going to have to adapt to. Yeah.
Do you find it difficult getting the balance between all the soaps? I mean, do you try and write equally about each one, or do you write more about ones that seem to be getting more engagement on the site?
That's interesting, because I think obviously we have the main 4, don't we, which is EastEnders, Hollyoaks, Emmerdale, and Corrie. Corrie does really, really well for us on site. Huge Corrie audience. And I'd say those 4 are the ones we write about. But having said that, Neighbours is really popular as well. And obviously that's coming to an end. But that's always done really well for us. But I'd say the 4 main ones is what we've always focused on. But I remember, like, even with Holby City, because even though that was on once a week, But I had a really engaged audience.
Is
Like
it?
Holby City articles would do really well, yeah. But obviously you can't write, there's just not as much to write about for shows that are on once a week compared to the ones that are on every single day. So yeah, I'd say the four main ones, but obviously the Aussie soaps are on every day, and they are really, really popular as well.
Mm-hmm. That's interesting. So let's talk spoilers a little bit. Not that I want to go into any spoilers, because our podcast is always very spoiler free, but you've always been the sort of person, have you, who wants to know what's happening next in the soaps?
Oh yeah, I'm such a spoiler fan. Like I said, I used to wait up on Monday nights to midnight, be really tired on Tuesday because I'd read them all. But I also totally understand. Like my husband absolutely hates spoilers, anything like Game of Thrones, everything like that. Absolutely, he literally says that I ruin everything for everyone. So I totally understand that not everyone does. So I think it's finding the balance, isn't it? And I think a kind of a key rule I follow is maybe often like telling the start of something but not always the end of it. So if you're writing an article, you're telling people enough to keep them interested but not telling them everything. And obviously the press offices help us with that too, because the story documents they don't give everything away, and they hold things back. And there's a reason for that, because don't we all love, even though I love spoilers, I also like to be surprised, which I don't get to be very often, but I do totally understand that. So I think there's a balance. I think it's finding a way to cater to both parties. And like I said earlier, we never ever give everything away on like in a headline. So you always have to click to find out more.
Yeah.
But sometimes even if there is everything there, like to reveal, I think sometimes there's an argument for not, because you want to keep people interested, don't you? But you don't want
But
to stop them watching.
Do you find that, as somebody who reads spoilers and does work with spoilers in it, do you find that does enhance your viewing? Do you watch it going, oh, I know what's going to happen now?
Yeah, it's difficult because I just don't feel like I watch soaps generally as a fan anymore, which is quite sad. I mean, there have been some occasions, like some of the live episodes, but I think when I watch other things, I think it's nice not to know what's happening.
Yeah. Can you think?
Like it's not. Yeah.
Yeah. Can you think of any times in Coronation Street where you have been caught completely by surprise by what's happening?
Yeah, so I think, and I don't know when this was because I've got a really bad memory, but there was a live episode where Kylie killed Callum.
Yeah.
I don't think we knew that. Do we even know he was leaving? I actually can't remember.
I can't remember whether it was rumoured that he was leaving or whether it had been announced. I'm not sure, but you're right. The way that it happened, I think people weren't quite expecting. And I think it was quite soon into the episode as well, if I remember rightly.
It was really early on, and I remember I was live blogging. I don't think we live blogging back then for Digital Spy, and I was like, wow, I didn't see this coming. Like, wow, I do not know everything. And also with Kylie, I don't think, obviously we knew she was leaving, but I don't think I knew how she was going to die. She got stabbed, didn't she? But I don't remember if we knew that. Maybe some people did. I definitely didn't. So I remember watching that live in the evening. So there have been a few times. I didn't know who killed Lucy in Eastenders either. So that was good. So there are a few times, but not often. And it is nice to be surprised. It's nice to sort of watch with everybody else.
Yeah. I think with Kylie, I think they only announced that Paula Lane would be leaving Coronation Street about, it's like a week or 2 weeks before it aired. And I remember being a bit annoyed at the time, thinking, oh, I wish they'd just kept it quiet for a little bit longer.
Yeah, I know.
Usually you know weeks or months in advance that an actor's leaving, don't you?
Yeah, and especially a week, you're like, the final hurdle. We could have had that as a shock, but no, I remember that, and I remember being really sad. I really liked Kylie.
Yeah. So as well as having the main Digital Spy website, you've also got your Soap Scoop Twitter account and your YouTube channel as well, where you post your preview summaries each week. And a couple of years ago, you even dipped your toe into the world of podcasting, didn't you, with your Soap Scoop podcast? So how did you find that experience?
Oh, you know what? It was so much fun. So it was between end of 2020. So it's between the lockdowns. It was 12 episodes, and it was so funny. I remember I just moved house. I don't know if you have these issues, but I just moved house and everything was so echoey. So I remember doing some of the episodes, a big blanket over my head trying to get the echoes out. But yeah,
I know exactly what that's like, having moved house last year.
Yeah, it's weird. You don't think about it, do you, when you're listening to other people's until you're in the situation. But yeah, no, it was great. We had Rob Mallard. He came on.
This was your first episode, wasn't it?
He was. Do you know what? So another thing I learned from podcasting, I don't know if you have this, but we didn't record everything in like linear order. So we spoke to him, I think it was months before, and then obviously it went out first. But he was great. He was I think it was around the time where Daniel was in quite a dark place with Nikki and after the Sinead story and everything like that. And he was really good. We had Dr. Carl from Neighbours. He was great. He had his own studio and everything. He was like,
oh wow,
tech king. Yeah. So cool.
Who have been so do you remember who like the first actor from Coronation Street was that you met? Were you like starstruck at all when you met them?
Do you know what? I was thinking about this yesterday. Starstruck, I think you've been more like phone struck, if that's a thing. You'd be like, you know, when you're on the phone and you're like, am I actually talking to you? I remember we did, so yeah, I spoke to Corrie. I remember meeting Kim Marsh. We did a Corrie event. It's actually one of the best press events I've been to. It's about 5 or 6 years ago. In fact, I know exactly when it was. It was Aidan's wedding.
Yeah.
Was it? Yes, it was like a long time ago. And we did a Corrie event there, and we had Kim Marsh on. We did like a pub quiz in the Rovers, and we did a quiz, and we had Kim Marsh on our team. It was really funny actually. We lost, and I'm so competitive. I was furious. But I remember thinking, wow, if this is real, I'm doing a pub quiz with Kim Marsh. This is so strange. And you know, you're like telling people, and they're like, yeah, okay, are you actually though? And I'm like, yeah, I actually am doing a pub quiz with Kim Marsh. Yeah.
Is there anyone else that you can think of that you've from Corrie that you've had any particularly funny or memorable interactions with over the years?
So most of my memories are like early on, because I think when you first started out in the job, everything's quite exciting. Not that it's not now, but everything's more daunting, more exciting. And I remember I spoke to Sarah Carnes, so when she joined. And she was just so lovely, like honestly probably still to this day one of the loveliest people I've spoken to. From all soaps. I mean, they're all lovely. I've never had a bad experience, but she was lovely. And then I met her again I think it was before everything was before COVID, but about 2019 I went to the Inside Soap Awards, and we had our own area where we did games and filmed them, and she was with Katie McGlynn, I think, and we did like a game of trick or treat, and it was hilarious. I think there is a video somewhere. I'll send it to you after this. It was so funny. Yeah, that was good. And obviously that pub quiz with Kim Marsh was good. There's been so many. Honestly, everyone is so lovely.
Is there anyone from Corrie that you haven't had a chance to meet or interview yet that you'd quite like to?
Do you know what? I think I'd really like to meet and speak to Simon Gregson. I think he'd be a good one. I think he's really funny. I remember thinking he was really funny in I'm a Celeb. Was it last year he was on I'm a Celeb, or the year before? Yeah,
I can't remember. It was quite recently, wasn't it?
Yeah, maybe it was the year before. I can't remember, but I remember thinking he was hilarious. I think he'd be really good. Obviously David Nils, I love Roy. I think that would be good. I don't know if I've spoken to Alison. I think I have spoken to Alison King, but I was obviously a really big fan of Carla when I was growing up. She's a bit of an icon, wasn't she?
Yeah, she absolutely was.
Yeah.
So something else you must be very proud of is winning the PPA Unsung Hero of the Year award earlier this year. So congratulations for that. Tell me a bit about what that was like.
Thanks. Do you know what? I'm so glad we could talk about this on here. I'm boring everyone in real life. They're like, you can't keep talking about it. It was ages ago.
You can tell me. It's fine.
Achievement. I've never won anything. Yeah, no, that was so good. And it was one of those things where that's been going on for a while. So I think it was the beginning of the year. Sort of went forward for it, and then the shortlist was April, and then the awards was in June. Sadly, I didn't actually go. I was at a wedding. It's just really unfortunate because I didn't know this, but Tess Daly was presenting it, and it's just one of these things where you don't really. I know you should back yourself. You know, 2022. We should all be fans of ourselves. But I hadn't really thought about it that much because obviously everyone's so good. And I was chuffed. Do you know what? I should have had it here. I could have showed you. It's really heavy. It's like a really heavy bit of glass. It's sitting on my fireplace.
Nice.
But I was really pleased.
Well done. Speaking of awards as well, obviously the Digital Spy Reader Awards happen at the end of each year. What did you make of last year's winners?
Well, Corrie smashed it, didn't they?
The hate crime story got a few wins, didn't it?
It did. It won best story, I believe. We had Seb's death, which was the saddest death, unsurprisingly. I think Sally Carmen won best
Yes,
Uh,
I think she got,
yeah, yeah. I
she
think
got best. I've just got it up here. Yeah, she got best actor female. And yeah, David Nielsen, he got best actor male as well.
did
So yeah, Corrie did quite well.
really well. Yeah, I'm not surprised really because that hate crime story was amazing, and there were some
Mm,
amazing performances
mm.
in there. But yeah, no, that was good. I think we're doing the same again. It'll be at the end of the year, same format. The
Mm.
reader awards are great. They're great. They're great to do.
Yeah. I was really pleased that Sally Carman got the Best Actress because she cried a lot of tears last year, didn't she? She's a real asset to Corrie, I think.
Oh, she's amazing. I spoke to her. Well, it was a press sort of a roundtable event, and she was in the thick of that. And we were sort of saying, like, how do you do it? Like that, there's some of the intensity of those scenes. You're just like, it must be so draining. She's brilliant, and she's very popular still. I think there's lots of
Yeah.
fans rooting for her throughout the baby Alfie story, wasn't there?
Yeah,
She was
definitely. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, it's been difficult for us on the podcast because we're fans of Abby, but we've also been huge fans of Toya and Imran as well. So when it was the two of them up against each other, it's like I don't know which side to pick.
Literally same. I love Toya, honestly. If you'd asked me sort of 5 years ago who I wanted to return, it'd always be Toya. Absolutely loved her. And obviously now, yeah, you're like, which side are we on? Are we on Toya's side or are we on Abby's side? I like them both for different reasons.
Oh, lovely. Well, Georgia Taylor does listen to this podcast, so she's going to hear you saying that now. So
Oh, actually, I really like her. Oh wow, that's great. Yeah.
Isn't she? Yeah. So let's talk about kind of a bit more about your fan experience with Coronation Street. So like, what are some of your favorite characters that you've had in Coronation Street over the years gone by?
So Toya, and I'm not just saying that because Georgia Taylor, she's always been a favourite. Yeah, no, I've always liked her, and I also like Georgia Taylor in Casualty. I spoke to her last year actually for a Casualty piece, which was weird because I got it through Corrie, as in through the Corrie press office linked me up with her. But we spoke about Casualty because it was the 35th anniversary. I think, yeah. So yeah, Toya's a favourite. Who else do I like? Obviously Roy and Hayley. Absolutely love them. I can't like that story.
Oh, Hayley, still miss her.
Oh, I know, and she's so lovely in real life. Like, no one's ever said anything bad about her. They're like, she's the loveliest person. Do you know who I really like? And this is random, but little Sam. Honestly, I think he's just amazing.
Yeah, he's really cute. Like from his very first scene in Coronation Street, we kind of could tell that there was something special about him. He really kind of went in wowing us.
Honestly, some of his scenes, some of his one-liners as well. I'm like, this kid is great. Honestly, I think he's going to go on to be to really great things. Sometimes you see a child actor and you just know that they're destined for greatness. I also really enjoyed I say enjoyed, it's a really unusual word, but the Sinead story a few years ago just really stayed with me, that one.
Yeah, that was heartbreaking, wasn't it? It was
really heartbreaking.
Yeah, those episodes where she died, it was like, oh, yeah.
I know. The amount of people I spoke to, like, yeah, that's the thing. And the amount of people who I spoke to who are like, oh, I don't really watch Corrie, but I'm watching that, and like, it's really making me think about. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, no, that was a powerful one.
So how would you say Coronation Street's holding up against the other soaps at the moment? Because I don't watch any of the others. I'd be interested to know, as somebody who does all of the soaps for their job, how you think Corrie's faring.
At the moment, obviously the Toya and Imran story was a big one. That's been a bit quiet. I think that's going to pick up again, isn't it? And there's going to be big stuff from there. I mean, the thing with Corrie is it's just consistently good. I mean, all the soaps are good, but I think there's peaks and troughs, isn't there? And some are good and then not so good, and then some are really, really good, and then it goes quiet. Corrie's consistent, I think. And I think I said to you earlier on site, Corrie is very popular, as you can see from like the reader awards. But yeah, no, I think it's doing all right. I mean, Fizz and Tyrone as well. There's lots of interest there. I think that's people were really happy they got back together a few weeks ago. But I think it's holding up. I think it's always going to be somewhat in the lead, isn't it, Corrie? I think it's just one of the it's just like one of the more popular shows. Everyone loves Corrie, didn't they? It's just there for you, I think, isn't it?
What were your thoughts about it moving from 6 half-an-hour episodes to 3 hour-long episodes earlier this year? Do you think that's working out for it?
When it happened, I've always gone with the notion that it's quality over quantity. So I was a bit like, how's this going to work? I haven't noticed. I don't know if maybe you feel differently. I haven't noticed a huge
No,
difference.
I would agree.
Yeah, I haven't noticed a huge difference. I think obviously I don't know how it's worked in terms of like the cast schedules and if they're having to work sort of different hours. But I haven't noticed a huge difference. I think it came at a time when everything changed, didn't it? Like Eastenders suddenly moved time slots and it moved days. I think Emmerdale did the same. So I think across the board, it felt like a change everywhere. So I haven't noticed a huge difference in terms of like quality of material.
Yeah. So Corrie's really embraced the character comeback this summer, because we've had the likes of Spider, Stephen Reed, Wendy coming back. So do you like it when soaps bring back old characters, or do you think they should, always be moving forward rather than looking back?
It's interesting, right? So I like characters returning, but I like it to be seamless. So I like it to make sense. So I don't like it when a character just returns for no reason. Do you know what I mean? I think there's characters that could return to Corrie, and you'd be like, that makes sense because you're going to slot into a family dynamic. But yeah, I think it depends. Like obviously we get very excited when certain people come back, but then there's sometimes I'm just a bit like, they come back, it's all very exciting, and then they go quiet again, and you don't hear from them. So yeah, I like a seamless return. I like it to make sense. And I think there's an argument for both, isn't there? Like retrospective characters, that's all very exciting, but I think also it's all about like pushing forwards and creating new eras and new characters. But Spider's just great.
He is. I've been a bit sad because we've only had him for about 2 episodes since the beginning of July, haven't we? So I'm looking forward to him properly coming back, hopefully very soon.
I know, and with Toya as well, it just feels very nostalgic, I think.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that these long-running soaps have got going for them. I mean, lots of programs can't just say, "Oh, we're bringing back a character from 20 years ago," because they weren't on 20 years ago.
That's the thing, exactly.
Yeah. Are there any characters that you would like to see come back to Coronation Street?
I don't know. I think like Janice, someone, or even someone that could slot into a family situation. Also, we've got Leanne. That would be good. Her sister coming back.
Yeah, Janice has been like, you'd think that she probably would have come back considering everything that Toya and Leanne have been going through the last few years.
That's a thing, and that's what I mean. I like it when characters come back and you're like, yes, this makes sense. Like, why have you been missing in action? You should be here, because in real life that happens, doesn't it? Like, you come back if things are going on with people in your family.
Yeah. So speaking of comebacks, one soap that's getting a deluge of them at the moment, of course, is Neighbours, which is airing its final episode later this week. So what was your reaction to hearing that the show would be coming to an end?
Oh, I was sad. And do you know what? There's still a part of me that it hasn't quite sunk in. I feel like it's kind of a more, I don't know anything, but I feel like it's a more see you later, not goodbye. I don't know if that is the case, but in my head, I'm like, it's going to have to return one day. This can't be the end. Neighbours is an institution, isn't it? It's such a huge part of TV history and soap history. It's so sad. But yeah, I think I haven't actually seen the final episode. I know some people who have. Very excited. It's gonna be hard, but like I say, I feel we've got the memories.
How do you think they've been handling it? Because I've watched Neighbours for the first time ever this week, and I've been kind of noticing everybody's selling up to move away from Ramsay Street. Then you got some of the older characters back to talk about their old memories. Do you think that that's a good way for a soap to call it a day?
I don't know. Hobby City did something similar. Suddenly everyone reappeared in a few weeks, and it's nice in a way, but at the same time you're like, is this kind of being shoehorned in? But yeah, no, it's nice. And when the characters were announced originally, I was very excited. And there's been another wave of them recently, hasn't there? Like Libby and Billy. And I think they were announced the other day. Sorry, am I telling you a spoiler? I know you don't like
I've got no idea who you're talking about, so it's fine.
Okay. I was like, you don't like spoilers? Have I just given everything away? Yeah, so there's like been a wave of, there was an original group of people announced a few weeks ago, and they just announced some more. So no, it's nice. I think it's nice for fans, isn't it? Because everyone is going to remember someone different from their era. Like I said to you earlier, there's people I remember from when I was growing up who I really liked, but there's people in the 80s, I wasn't actually alive then. So there's people like that who are coming back who So yeah, it's a nice nod to the past, I suppose,
Yeah.
isn't it? I think when the show's ending, there's no rules. Everything goes out the window.
Exactly, I agree. But do you think that the end of Neighbours is going to be ringing any alarm bells at the other soaps? Can the medium keep going the way it is forever, or do you think they need to keep on adapting to stay alive?
I don't know. This is something we talk about a lot at work. Because obviously, like I said to you earlier, TV is changing all the time rapidly, and I think it's going to continue to change. I think it will make some shows up their game, maybe, but I think obviously viewing figures are down across the board because there's just so much option now, isn't there? There's just so much more TV. Like when even like 10 years ago when I first started this job, 9 years ago, there's just so much more to watch now, and you can understand why people would choose to watch things that are kind of going to have a beginning, middle, and end, as opposed to something that's on all the time. It's a big commitment, isn't it, to watch a show every single day or forever. But yeah, no, I think it will do. I think it's obviously going to be in people's minds that this is happening, especially as it was Holby first and now Neighbours. But let's just wait and see, I guess. Hopefully not.
Yeah. I hope so too. Well, Sophie, it's been lovely speaking to you today. Thank you so much for coming onto the podcast. It's been fascinating to hear about behind the scenes at Digital Spy, because like I said earlier, I've been visiting Digispy for over a decade now. So it's lovely to be able to get in touch with somebody who works there, and on the soaps department, no less either. Oh,
thank you so much. It's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Well, I'll let you go now. So enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.
And you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.